Hello guys, so in this video I will discuss the College of Accounting Education, thesis format and process. So these are the major parts of your research paper. The first one is the title page and the preliminary pages. So we'll discuss that one later. The introduction, the method, results and discussion, findings, conclusions, and recommendation. So this format is called the IMRAD format. Okay, IMRAD stands for Introduction, Method, and Results and Discussion. Okay, so the last part is the references and the appendices. Okay, first is the title page and the preliminary pages and the abstract. Okay, so the title page or the cover page. Okay, so I will show you later the example of the cover page. Okay, so after that is the preliminary pages. So, which includes the approval sheets, table of contents, list of figures and tables, and it also includes the acknowledgement page. Okay, so the next is the abstract. Okay, the abstract is a brief summary of your thesis, so which contains 150 to 250 words. So it is a one paragraph abstract. Okay, which include the following. Okay, so the abstract must include a brief introduction first. Okay, so the first sentence or the first to two sentences is the brief introduction, okay, which discuss the problematic situation and issues. Okay, it can be one sentence or two sentences, a brief introduction. Then after that, the objective of the study, which includes the method used, the number of respondents, and statistical treatment employed. Okay. Then after that, the conclusion. Okay. Then next is an optional. Okay. The recommendation. Okay. Then after the abstract is the keywords. So the purpose of the keywords is if you publish your paper, so the keyword should be the one when someone want to search your paper in Google or in Scholar, not Google. Okay. For example, if your study is use a theory, a certain theory, just like an efficient market hypothesis. So if I search efficient market hypothesis, so I will your study will appear in the search engine. Okay. So that is why keywords are words and phrases not coming from your title, because if the keywords is coming from your title, it is redundant. Okay, because the title itself is also a keyword. Okay. Next is the introduction. Okay, so the introduction contains the following. First is the background of the study. Next is the literature review. Then the conceptual framework, objective of the study, and the statement of hypothesis. So the background of the study contains the reason for conducting the study. So it discusses the root cause of the study. Okay, so this should answer the need for conducting the research, and it justifies the significance and novelty of the study. So what are the things you should include in the background or the rationale? First, you should discuss the issues and problematic situation. So issues are should be real situation, just like widespread business closure, poverty, or any business problem. that happens in the society. Okay, so issues should not be hypothetical. Okay, so issue should be empirical. Okay, it should be observed issue. Okay, so it also discuss the relevance of research. Okay, so you can include a discussion on the theories and empirical studies about those issue. Okay, and the last paragraph should discuss the research gaps. So it should be 4 paragraphs, so maximum 4 paragraphs. It should not be long, and avoid using tables and figures. So basically, the background discuss the issue and problematic situation and the relevance of the study and the research gap. So the next section of our of the introduction is the literature review. So the literature review are scholarly sources, so related to your research issues or topics. Okay, so it provides an analysis of the relevant works. In other video, I will discuss to you what is literature review. Okay, so it describes the essence of the problem and understand the previous effort. So literature review, sources of these literatures are from reports, papers, and journals. Okay, and should comply with the research aim or the fitness for purpose. Okay, so sources must have a 5-year residency. So majority of your paper should literatures must be a 5-year. Okay, so maybe 80% of your paper should be 5-year residency. So except for the theories and very important pioneering authors. The literature review contains 4 sections. The first section is the theories or propositions, which discuss anchored theories or the proposition. Okay, so the suggested number of paragraphs is 2 to 3 paragraphs. Then, after that is the variable literature section. So it contains variables might be included in your or might be used in the study. So discuss the variables and indicators employed by previous studies as they study the problematic situation and issues. So this variable is used to explain so why those issues happens. Okay. Then after that, after reviewing the variables, next is the review of the method or the method literatures. It should discuss both theoretical and empirical also. So it discussed the methods and statistical treatment used by the previous study. So example of methods are descriptive correlation or survey. Okay. Then you must discuss the statistical treatment, just like the regression analysis or EFA. Okay. So the paragraph must contain the following. Okay. So it contains, first is you should discuss the objective of the study. Okay, of the previous study, not your study. It must be the previous study objective of the study. Okay. Then next one is the method they use. Okay. So the method contains who is the respondent and the sample size and the statistical treatment employed by the previous or by that study. Okay. Then what is the result of the study? Okay. So method literatures, how many literatures in this section? So the suggested is minimum of 5 literatures. Okay. Then after that is the synthesis. Okay, synthesis is a summary of your background of study and literature review. So it connects the research issues, problematic situation, and theories to the selected variables. Okay, from your literature review. So discuss in your own words. So that using indicators that will use to in the study based on the literature review. And this section will connect your RL to the conceptual framework. And take note, do not add nor insert literature in this section. So no more citation of literature in this section. So it is purely discussion coming from the researcher. So in your synthesis, you've already selected the variables you will use in your study. The next thing to do is to illustrate, okay, those what you expect to find through your research. So it defines the relevant variables for your studies coming from the synthesis and maps out how they might relate to each other. So we will have a separate discussion for conceptual framework. So a conceptual framework is only an illustration or a drawing of your study. So from your conceptual framework, so you can now formulate the objective of the study, okay, using your conceptual framework. So the objective of the study describe concisely what the research is trying to achieve. Okay, they summarize and accomplishments research wishes. No, okay. So must include a general objective and a specific objective. So an example of general objective is, for example, the study to is um, will determine the level of or the relationship of the financial literacy and entrepreneurial skills of micro entrepreneurs in Davao City. That is an example of general objective. And the specific objectives specify what you will do to accomplish the general objective. Okay, so we will have a separate discussion on the objective of the study. Then you can now write the statement of hypothesis after you formulate the objective of the study. So the statement of hypothesis is a tentative statement about the relationship between two or more variables. So it must be a null hypothesis. So it is a specific, testable prediction about what you expect to happen in the study. For example, you can say there is no relationship, okay, between financial literacy and entrepreneurial skill. Then, after the introduction is the methodology, okay, or the method. So it discusses the what you will do or the plan or to answer the objective of the study. Okay, so the methodology contains research design, which discuss the framework of your research method or the technique chosen by a researcher. Then, who is your respondent? If your respondent is human, or if you wish to have no respondent, or you want to use a secondary data or the document, you will use data instead of research respondent. So what you will do is in this section is to describe the person who have been invited to participate in the particular study and have taken part in the study. Okay, so the next one is the research instrument, which describes the tool used to collect, measures, and analyze data. So you need to describe your research instrument. Do not define something in this section. Okay. Then after that, the data gathering procedures, which describe the techniques used to obtain the information used in a research. Okay. So it must be a paragraph or in paragraph form, not bullet form. Okay. Then after that, if you have data interpretation table, so you can include that one. So it's the process making sense out of collection of data. Okay. That has been processed. And the last one is the statistical tools. So this gives the meaning to data. So you must discuss what statistical tool you will use to answer the objective of the study. After the methodology is the results and discussion. Okay, so the results is the empirical data, okay, gathered during the uh, research process, okay, and this results is coming from the results of the analysis made by the statistician, okay. So these are figures, tables, graphs, and schemes. Okay, so basically results are those figures. And after presenting the results, you need to discuss the result. Okay, do not reiterate or um, repeat what is in the result. Just like you will write that in the table 1 shows that the mean is, okay, so do not write that one because the mean is already in the table. Okay, so what you will do in the discussion section is the portion is to interpret the result. Okay, so who will do the interpretation? The researcher itself. So do not use other study to interpret your results. You can compare your study to the previous study, but do not let other author interpret your study. Okay, so the researcher is the one uh, who is responsible to interpret their or discuss their study. And the result should always followed by the section. So the last part is the conclusion and recommendation. So the conclusion includes summary of findings and the conclusion and um, the limitation of the study. And the last part is the recommendation. Okay, so the summary of finding provides a discussion for each of the findings, which is with the research objective. So if you have three specific objectives, you should have three findings. Okay, so the summary of findings only answers the objective of the study. Okay, so do not add an explanation anymore because the explanation, all discussion should be done in the results and discussion. Okay, after the summary of findings is the conclusion. So the conclusion provide the reader with a synthesis and summary of your main evidence points. Okay, so if the summary of findings answer the objectives of the study, so the conclusion answers the issues and problematic situation which you discuss in the background of the study, which include the following. So in a single paragraph, um, discuss the issue or the issue you discuss in the background of the study and provide connection with that issue to the findings of the study. So how the findings of the study addresses the issues and problematic situation. Okay, so what is the answer to the issues and problems based on the findings of the study? Take note, do not rediscuss the findings of the study. Okay, so do not anymore say that there is a significant relationship. Okay, because you already mentioned that in your the findings of the study. So what you will do in this section is you connect those findings to the problematic or issue or problematic situation or the issue. Then what knowledge you generated. So this is based on your research gap, and if the findings agrees or disagrees with the theoretical framework you anchored in this study. Then after that, discuss the limitation of your study. Then after the limitation of the study is the recommendation. Okay, so recommendation is based on the findings of your study. So do not recommend, uh, that is not, 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 uh, discussed in the findings of the study. Then after the recommendation is the references and appendices. Okay, reference are list of publication information for the sources you cited in your paper. So all cited studies should be in the reference, and all studies in the reference should be cited. Okay, so we will use Harvard style. Okay, then the appendices, this contains supplementary materials that is not an essential part. Okay, it includes letters, results. Okay, so it may be helpful providing more comprehensive understanding of research problem. Okay, so this is how you write your paper. Okay, so first is you need to identify the problematic situation or the issues. So that will be the topic of your paper. Okay, so the goal here is to understand the issue. Okay, not to find a solution to a certain problem. Okay, so the only goal is to understand that the problem or the issue. Then with that issue, you can read something from the literatures. Okay, so in the literature, you will read how previous authors addresses those issues or understand those issues. Okay, so from that literature or if you review the literatures written by previous authors, you will find that theory uh, used to understand a certain issue. So a theory is a statement that could explain the problematic situation. So for example, if the problem is the movement of the or unpredictable movement of the stock market, so you can read the random walk hypothesis, which explains why the market is unpredictable. Okay, then you can also read the variable use by the previous author to explain the issue. Then the method they use. Okay, then with that reading, you can now formulate your objective of the study. So that those literatures explain the problems and the research gap, okay, or the uniqueness of your study from previous study, or the gaps of the study. So the gaps are those um, variables or explanation that was not discussed or explained by the previous studies. Then after that, you will discuss the method, okay, then you will gather data, then analyze the data, and with that analysis, you can have your results, and you can now discuss the results, and you can conclude, okay, or write the implication of your study. Okay, so this is the example of your research proposal Gantt chart. Okay, so the Gantt chart contains the proponents. So the proponents are the researcher and your program, accountancy, MA, and the research agenda or the research area. Okay, so the research area is provided by the college. Okay, and your title. So the Gantt chart is a plan. Okay, on when you finish your or when you want to finish your thesis. So you can screenshot this one because this is the standard Gantt chart. Just change the dates. Okay, so lastly is the research process. So first, in the process is the title proposal. Okay, so the title defense will be held in the classroom in your research one class. Okay, so your panelist should be your research teacher. Okay, and the title should be approved by the research coordinator. Okay, so the title after the title or the RC approved the title, you can now write your outline proposal. Okay? So your outline proposal should be submitted through Google link. Okay? And including your research instrument. Okay, for validation. Okay, so the RC will transmit your outline paper to the panelist. Okay, then your panelist will schedule your outline defense. So after the panelist approve your outline and validate your research instrument, you can now gather data. Okay, so there is no need to enroll in research 2 class. Okay, so you can gather your data immediately after the outline approved by the panelist. Okay, provided that you submitted the request for permission to conduct study which include the parents' consent. Okay, so submit those documents to the research coordinator. So do not gather data without submitting those documents. And after that, after you gather the data, you can write your final paper and submit the final paper for a final defense. Again, submit that through Google Form link. Okay, then the RC will transmit your paper to the panelist. Then the panelist will schedule your final defense. Then if you completed all the suggestion or comments of your panelist, the panelist will give you a panel compliance. Okay? And after that is the plagiarism check. Or submit your paper through Google link. Okay? So the similarity index maximum is 25%. Greater than 25%, we will consider that paper plagiarized paper, and you will conduct another plagiarism check again. And after that, after the plagiarism check is the grammar check, which is conducted by your or processed by your advisor. Okay, then after that, after grammar check, your paper will undergo quality control. Okay, then after quality control, your paper now already is ready for booking. Okay, so that's all.